Good morning to all. I'm working as Assistant Professor of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Department in SNS College of Engineering. Today, we're going to see about the professional ethics subject. Let's move on to the subtopic that is conflict of interest. Conflict of interest arises when an individual and organization is faced with competitive interest, and these interests might undermine their ability to act impartially, objectively, or in the best interest of others. In professional settings, such conflicts can undermine trust, compromise decision making, and erode the credibility of both individuals and institutions. As such, recognizing and managing conflict of interest is a crucial aspect of professional ethics, as it ensures that decisions are made based on merit and fairness rather than personal or financial gain. This issue is especially pertinent in fields such as law, medicines, business, and government, where the stakes are high and public trust is paramount. The nature of conflict of interest. A conflict of interest typically occurs when a professional person's interest, familiar, social, or otherwise, clash with their duty or responsibility to act in this best interest of a client, employer, or the public. These interests may be tangible, such as financial investment or relationship, or intangible, such as loyalty or bias toward a specific outcome. This existence of a conflict does not necessarily mean that unethical behavior is taking place. However, it raises the potential for bias, misconduct, or the perception of impropriety. In professional settings, conflict of interest can take many forms. For instance, a lawyer may have a financial stake in a company that is involved in a lawsuit, or a doctor may be influenced by kickbacks from paramedical companies when recommending a particular treatment. Similarly, a government official may have financial interest in a business that is bidding for a government contract, leading to a situation where their judgment could be clouded by personal gain. Types of conflict of interest. Financial conflict, one of the most common and easily identifiable type of conflict of interest. For example, if a financial advisor may recommend certain investment that benefit them more than the client, or a doctor may prescribe medication based on personal financial intention rather than a patient's health needs. Personal relations. Conflict of interest can arise when personal relations influence professional decision making. A manager hiring a family members for a position in their company, or a judge presiding over a case involving a close friend, or examples of how a relationship can create conflict. Dual relationship. This happens when a professional has more than one role with a client or individual. For example, a therapist who is also a close friend of the client might have difficulty maintaining objectivity, which could affect the quality of therapy provided. Institutional conflict. These occurs when an individual professional duties conflict with the goals, values, or interests of the institution they work for. For instance, a university professor may face a conflict if they have financial stakes in a research project that is being funded by a corporation with vested interest in the outcomes. Public versus private interest. In public service professionals, conflict often arise between the interest of the public and the personal or private interest of a professional. A government or official might face a dilemma when making decisions that could finally benefit say family members or business associate. Ethical implication of conflict of interest. The ethical implication of conflict of interest are vast, such these or as these situation can lead to unfair advantages, biased decision, and in some cases outright corruption. A conflict of interest can compromise the integrity of professional judgment, and more importantly, it can result in harm to the parties who rely on the professionalism and impartiality of the decision maker. For example, a lawyer who represents both sides of a dispute is unable to offer full commitment and unbiased advice, which undetermine the fairness of the legal system. Moreover, even the appearance of a conflict of interest can erode trust in professions where impartiality is vital, such as in medicine, law, or public administration. The perception of bias can be just as damaging as actual bias. The public expect professionals to make decision based solely on the best interest of their clients or society, and conflict of interest jeopardize this expectation. Legal and regulatory frameworks. Various legal and regulatory frameworks exist to address conflict of interest in professional practice. These guidelines are designed to provide clear rules for professionals to follow and to protect the public for unethical practices. For example, the American Bar Association provides rules for lawyers on conflict of interest in its model rules of professional conduct, outlining situation where a lawyer must either disclose a conflict or recuse themselves from the case. In medicine, ethical guidelines such as those set forth by the American Medical Association aim to prevent conflict that could affect patients' care. In business, the Security and Exchange Commission and other regulatory bodies mandate transparency to avoid conflict that could affect market integrity, such as insider trading or biased financial advice. For a government official, many countries has established conflict of interest policies to prevent officials from making decisions that might benefit them personally. For example, in the United States, the Ethics in Government Acts requires certain government employee to disclose holding and other potential conflict. Address and managing conflict of interest. Ethical framework in professional settings emphasize the need for transparency, accountability, and the proactive management of conflict of interest. One of the primary strategies for addressing conflict of interest is disclosure. Professionals are often required to disclose potential conflict to their clients, employers, or regulatory bodies. This ensures that all parties involved are aware of the conflict and can make informed decisions. Another important approach is recursal. In situation where a conflict cannot be effectively managed through disclosure, professional may be required to recuse themselves from the decision making process. For example, a judge may recuse themselves from a case involving a personal connection to one of the parties, or a board member might step down from a vote on a matter that directly affect their personal interest. Some organization or profession establish ethics committees or advisory boards to evaluate and provide guidance to complex conflict of interest. These bodies can offer a neutral perspective and recommend tips for managing the conflict in way that uphold ethical standard. A conflict of interest or a persistent challenge in professional ethics, but they can be managed through transparency, disclosure, and institutional safeguards. The primary goal of addressing conflict of interest is to ensure that professionals uphold their duty of care and act in the best interest of their clients, employers, and the public by acknowledge the existence of conflict and adapting an ethical framework that prioritizes fairness and integrity. Professionals can navigate the complexity of modern work and environment while maintaining public trust. Ultimately, the management of conflict of interest is integral to sustaining ethical standard and fostering a culture of accountability and trusted in professional settings. Thank you.